This video is aimed to those in the fashion industry such as designers, major clothing companies, and consumers. The fashion industry often faces issues with plagiarism accusations, so our goal with this video is to present what the issue is and how it can be prevented and dealt with. It is unfortunate to admit, but plagiarism in the fashion industry has been happening for decades. The big honcho fashion companies like Zara, Gucci, Forever 21, etc. have been stealing raw, authentic ideas from the smaller scale, grassrooted designers, and even, sadly, students that are still in their first few years into the industry. As we all know, plagiarism is stealing an idea, thought, or creation and claiming it as their own and receiving credit and recognition for it. The main issue that we notice is big designer companies start to lose their creative juices, need some inspiration to spin off from, and decide to steal from the little guys' thoughts and masterpieces. What's even more sad is the little guys can't really do anything about it to defend their work due to the lack of reputation and financial means to hire a lawyer and fight for their work, so to speak. However, the upside to all of this unethical behavior is that in today's world, due to social media and word-of-mouth communication, unjust behavior is brought to the light and shared and commented about very quickly. This, hopefully, will start to keep the big designer brands accountable to being honest, transparent, and ultimately original in thought and creativity.
Our first case involved the French designer Isabel Marant and the indigenous mixed community in Santa Maria Tlahuitoltepec, Oaxaca. The indigenous community took action against Marant after a dress in her 2015 Etoile collection showed a striking resemblance to their traditional blouse. The community stated that the designer committed plagiarism because her dress contained graphical elements specific to the Tlahuitoltepec blouse. The dress observed here was the design in question. There were several actions surrounding this case. The mixed community issued an official declaration calling for the French designer, pictured bottom right, to recognize the imitation of the traditional pattern seen on the image top right and to remove the dress from the collection. However, the incident grew and gathered large attention. Before the District Court of Paris, Marant presented submissions which expressly pointed out that the design came from the village of Santa Maria Tlahuitoltepec. And after tracing the true origin of the clothes, she did not claim to be the author of the tunic and the designs. She also pulled the dress from sale. The story, however, later took a strange turn. Designer Antique Boutique claimed to own the copyright to the design and accused Marant of copying them. In December of 2015, a French court ruled that neither Isabel nor Antique could copyright the shirts because they were a cultural artifact of the mixed people. Similarly, Oaxaca's Congress declared the mixed community's traditional designs and language as intangible cultural heritage per UNESCO guidelines. This protection is not legally binding, but it does recognize their uniqueness and origins to the mixed culture. This whole issue relates to equity and diversity in that cultural appropriation comes up often in the fashion industry. It is always a debate about where inspiration ends and plagiarism begins. Even though inspiration from various sources is part of any design process, cultural appropriation is specifically about a power imbalance with a dominant group taking from a marginalized group. Thus, the impact of Oaxaca's declaration will depend on the ongoing engagement of the mixed community. The mixed unique designs are their intellectual property, and in an ideal world, they should have the right to economically benefit from them.
Another recent case of plagiarism allegations in the fashion industry is when a young designer by the name of Pierre-Louis Aubray claimed that his work was plagiarized from Gucci's Alessandro Michel when they introduced an alien-inspired video series that looked much like the work he had posted on Instagram over the last couple months. The young designer was upset to see this large company had plagiarized his work by stating, "Young creatives struggle enough with big companies shamelessly stealing from them." Many people supported Avery's accusations. Alessandro Michel quickly denied all allegations against Gucci, stating that Gucci's campaigns take a long time to create and that he had never seen Avery's work before. He went on to say that he got his inspiration from famous movies that featured aliens such as Star Trek and Star Wars. In a statement, Avery said, "Fashion has some really ugly sides, and what happened to me is very sad, but I'm conscious that some companies have done even worse things to plenty of other young artists. But it doesn't mean it should be normalized. Instagram and social medias are great promotional tools for us. I just wish these companies would not use them to steal our ideas. It's important that large corporations give credit where credit is due. One of the main priorities of these large corporations should be maintaining strict ethical guidelines for plagiarism. Promoting equity in the fashion industry is very important so young artists are able to post freely on the internet and market their designer lines without worrying that a big corporation will steal their ideas.
How to prevent plagiarism. Steps in preventing plagiarism in fashion. The fashion industry is covered with plagiarism that in some way could be prevented before even entering production. Companies and designers such as Forever 21, Versace, Zara, Topman, and Jeremy Scott have all been accused of plagiarism from independent designers, but it is harder for these small-time designers and companies to deal with it once it has occurred. To help prevent plagiarism throughout all of fashion industry, both large and small fashion companies and designers must work together to create an equal industry. The first major step in preventing plagiarism would be for every fashion designer to copyright their work, no matter how big or small the creation may be. Next, it is best for all fashion designers to keep legitimate time records on every project they work on so that they have evidence of when they come up with the idea. The last step for all fashion designers is to research all of their projects that they work on so that they don't steal any copyrighted information. The biggest problem with researching an idea is that there's no universal copyright website that references every copyrighted idea. I believe the creation of an online reference built specifically for fashion designers will help prevent a large amount of plagiarism that's used in the fashion industry.
Now I will be discussing how to deal with plagiarism once it has already occurred and the proper measures one should take to defend the case. There are two perspectives to be had when discussing plagiarism, which are the big corporate companies that steal ideas and designs, and those who get ideas and designs stolen from them. Starting with the large corporations, high ethical standards from this point out should be the main concern, as your company's reputation has already been damaged. If they truly feel they created the idea or design before the accuser claims they did, then well-documented reports and evidence must be presented to uphold the corporation's claims. If the corporation is aware and knowledgeable of the plagiarism, whether or not the smaller company has the idea copyrighted, they know what they did is ethically wrong and perhaps illegal, so proper measures must be taken quickly to rebound from this incident. First and foremost, good public relations must be had immediately to address the issue in hopes of winning back most of the trust from the industry and customers. This must be done across every medium possible, including social media, email, etc. Now to speak on the side of the smaller company or person who believes a corporation infringed and copied their design, they are naturally at a much less defendable position than the accused. Again, documentation and a proper defense, including their dates of creation for the ideas and plans for said ideas, must be present in order to propose a copyright claim. If the smaller company or person can afford any professional legal help to defend their case, that would be ideal, as they are at a severe disadvantage against billion-dollar corporations. In the fashion industry, equity is obviously not the main concern, as we have seen in the Gucci case, with the power distances between the independent designers and fashion giants.
Overall, be aware that plagiarism is a major issue in the fashion industry. Often, major retail companies and designers like yourself fall into the turmoil. Even though sometimes accusations lead nowhere, have no standing, or are false, there are times when the intent to copy was always there, as well as times when it may have been only a coincidence. Therefore, as a responsible individual, do your part in being ethically responsible with your work and that of others. We thank you for watching and hope this video served its purpose.